so good to be here. Give yourselves a round of applause for showing up and showing out today. So anybody ever rode a bike? How many bike riders? Anybody ever in your life rode a bike? Right? Just about everybody, right? Anybody, the first time they saw a bike, run to it, jump on it, and take it down the street and do it with ease, no problems, no slips, no falls? No, nobody, no hands, right? It took some training, it took somebody holding it took training wheels, it took all of that kind of thing to ride that bike successfully without falling and tearing yourself up, right? All right, anybody ever have sex? So, I mean, I know sometimes we like to brag as it relates to sex, but did anybody just kind of jump right into it and get into the groove ASAP? So now, again, we like to brag, right? There are a couple of people whose hands raised, but for the most part, those first times were, pretty uncomfortable, mentally, maybe even physically, emotionally, and the experience of it didn't come for some time after the first time, right? So in my former life, if you will, or in the last job that I had, I was responsible for recruiting and retaining young men who have sex with men, young gay and bisexual men, into a study that was about HIV prevention. But one of the things that were very clear to us as we began the study is that many of them were not aware of their bodies sexually, right? Many of them they're between the ages of 18 and 24. Some of them were having sex for the first time over the past year, 2 years or so, and they were not very well experienced. They didn't really know their bodies. So one of the things that we had to do before we could enroll them into a research study was to teach them about sex. Teach them the risks of sex, teach them the joys of sex, the pleasures of sex, and how to do all of that without engaging in behavior that could put them at risk for HIV or for other sexually transmissible infections. So my job today is to talk to you about comprehensive sex education. Say that with me, comprehensive sex education, right? So, again, project director for an HIV prevention trial. Before we could get to the meat of the work, we had to really teach what it meant to have sex safely and responsibly. The Illinois PrEP Act will address these gaps, requiring schools that teach sex education classes to teach medically accurate, age-appropriate courses. So medically accurate and age-appropriate, right? The one caveat to that is that it's not requiring schools to actually teach sex education, but those that do, it should be medically accurate and age-appropriate. Also, it would have to include the benefits of abstaining from sex, right? We're all born abstinent. Not many of us leave out the world the same way, right? Many of us at some point of our lives will become sexual beings. However, for those who opt out of that, that should be encouraged and taught as well in a comprehensive sex education program. A comprehensive sex education program would also have to talk about the different varieties of sex, right? So heterosexual sex is not the only kind of sex that happens in our world, right? It's not the only kind of sex that happens in our world. Don't get me wrong, I wouldn't be here without it. None of us would be here without it. But there are other variations and forms of sex, and so comprehensive sex education must also include conversations about sex other than heterosexual sex. Will this act alone prevent teenage pregnancies, prevent youth from becoming infected with HIV, prevent sexually transmissible infections among our young people? Absolutely not, right? But it is a step in the right direction to get them on the bike without the training wheels, right? It's a step in the right direction. So as you are meeting with and speaking to your legislators today, I'm hoping that you are also including a conversation about comprehensive sex education. Thank you all so much for being here. It is wonderful that we are doing this. Enjoy the rest of your stay in Springfield.